This lesson is the second part of the lesson I have done about learning styles. In the first lesson, I explained what it means by learning styles, and then I also explained the SWOT strategies. SWOT strategies. And I said SWOT is not for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It is for study without tears. Study without tears. So for those of you who want to understand more about study skills, come on board. Let's go. So I'm looking at learning and the senses. Learning and the senses. We know the senses. The sense of sight, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, the sense of hearing, and just the sense of touch. Learning and the senses. So effective teaching, for those of us who are trainers, usually brings together very many approaches. It brings about something we call multisensory instruction, to which a child can use all the other senses they have to learn. Now, this multisensory approach works well because the brain is the one that directs our senses. It organizes them for you to touch, to feel the touch, to hear, to see, to feel, even to think. You need the brain. And when we learn information, information takes one path into our brain. It can take the path of the eyes, it can take the path of the ear, it can take the hands or the touch, so that it gets into our brains. So it's good that our senses are up to date for learning to take place. And somebody did this research. He is called Riff in 1993. He did this research and came up with some statistics which I would wish to share. That 10% of what we read affects learning, and our brains gain new information up to 10% of what we read. If you read, the brain will be able to store 10% of the whole content. But if you hear, the way you are hearing me, your brain is able to bring about 20% understanding. You can keep 20%. And when you see, you understand up to 30%. Then when you see and hear what you are doing right now, you understand 50%. And then you can also become better up to 70% understanding when you say what you have heard, what you have seen, what you have read, what you have understood. You can gain 70% if you say it. But somebody understands 90% of what they say and do. Now you understand the theories I have explained, the SWOT strategies above. That you understand 90% when you say and you do. That is why in most schools, the teacher comes and tells you, listen to me, so that you get 20%. Then they tell you, write. So when you are writing, you are seeing. That is 30%. Then they tell you, discuss among yourselves. Then if you are discussing, you are saying it. That is 70%. Then they give you a test. You do. Then you are getting 90%. So that is how we collect the understanding to a point where we say it's 100% understanding. If you are not a student who does this, then my friend, you need to improve. Improve so that it becomes easier for you to understand. Now, there are a few important considerations that you need to look at when using the learning styles I've mentioned above. It's good to understand, and I want to be honest with you, that learning styles are not pairs of strict or either categories. They do not strictly match to where you belong. People can shift between preferences depending on the context and how strong their preference is. Even when I say, you do, you need to look at your preference. What do you want? What is your environment? What is your category? Each learner has specific needs, as I mentioned above. If you are a trainer, use those needs to organize a class for that learner. If you are a learner, kindly try to understand your needs so that you even assist the trainer to help you to learn. It is also important to note that learning styles are not fixed because they can change over time. These styles can change because we are living in a changing world. I'm talking about what is applicable now. I'm quoting some research that was done a long time ago. Today, we are still doing research. The research we find today will affect theories that will come tomorrow. So learning styles are not fixed. Then it's also good to know that all learning, that is all the learning styles, whatever their preferences are, they are likely to be presented in a classroom. You can apply all the learning styles in a classroom. In fact, in a successful training session, it is good when all the four are applied inside a classroom. If you can, try to apply. If it is very difficult, you can skip one, but it's not advisable. You can skip one or two, but learning will become boring and maybe understanding levels will be down. So it's important to understand that instruction should routinely address all the categories of learning. That should be your model of learning if you are a trainer. And lastly, learning styles should not be used to determine the student's major or profession, or the learning styles should not be the ones to determine, because sometimes the testing methods that we have, I have always questioned how we test our students, because even in Kenya today, we depend so much on what the student writes. And some people are not good in communicating through writing. They can speak well, they can do well, but in Kenya, even when they do a practical, the KCSE candidates can never speak what they know. They have to write what they have done. They can never show you, then you give them marks. Why can't we have our trainers, our teachers in high school marking the practicals inside the laboratory? Why can't the Kenya National Examination Council go to the students, ask them questions, ask them to do the next step, give them marks in the laboratory? Why must it be written? Isn't there any other method of representing data? Why can't they draw? Why can't they express themselves? It's high time we look at learning from such an angle. And that's why I say that learning style preferences provide no indication of what students are or what they are capable of. No. It's the role of the trainer to choose the correct learning style and approach the students using that learning style, but it does not determine the IQ of the learner, because it is dictated by the trainer. If the learner was to choose a learning style, I believe the products would be different. So let's prepare ourselves as trainers well. The students, prepare yourselves well. The stakeholders, kindly prepare yourselves well and look into some of these things we are saying and correct where possible. I wish you all the best. Kindly subscribe, like, and share my content if it's good. Thank you very much.